right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here until 11 o'clock with Andrew Fillipponi up at 93.7 The Fan. You can call us. All you have to do is dial 412-575-2600. You can hit us up on X at KDPomp, at the Pony Express. Penguins tonight with a dud. Maybe one of their worst games of the year. Ottawa's a good team. They've got a lot of speed. I think they gave them a little dose of their own medicine, Andrew. They just were not in this game. And again, I thought Sheeloff's by himself kept this from being a 5-1 game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the worst games the Penguins have played in Pittsburgh all year. And, of course, you and I were there for it. You know, they were probably due for this. I get it. You know, they had played January so perfectly. You know, they came back from that long road trip and started the game so well against the Rangers, and then the third period wasn't that good, and it carried over into this game. I thought it was a miracle. I looked up in the third period, they're tied, thinking, oh, my God, they might actually get at least a point out of this game, which they really didn't deserve. One of the quietest games I think Sidney Crosby has played all year. I was there for all 60 minutes. I don't think there was one memorable play where either helped create a goal, had a shot on goal, prevented maybe a scoring chance the other end. The Penguins are really lucky, too. I mean, their penalty kill, in addition to Sheeloff's, kept them in this game because they kept putting Ottawa up a man, and the Senators were not able to capitalize on any of those extra man advantages. But Dan Muse said after the game that he would have challenged that play again. I disagree with him on that. I think the only reason why he did it, Bob, was because they were getting so manhandled in this game. He probably figured, what the heck, if I put my team on the penalty kill one more time and lose it, what's the difference? But if it was more of an even game, I think he would have just allowed for Ottawa to take the goal and then try to score a goal in the last 5 minutes to tie it and force overtime.
Yeah, because the risk of that is if you don't get that call and that challenge right, you go down 2 minutes, and you could have ended the game right there. So I understood it. I didn't agree with it either. I want to get your take on something else today, because this has been bothering me, and I know on Twitter some of these people from Washington have been after me about what I've said about Tom Wilson. But there was a hit that he had on Logan Stankoven, which was a typical Tom Wilson hit. It was a direct headshot. I don't care what they say, how it attained it. It was a direct headshot. He got not even a hearing at all. And this guy has 6 suspensions, 3 fines. I bring that up because Brian Rust, on the other hand, hit for Brock Besser. He's not a dirty player. Yes, he did it. Sure, he should have been maybe 1 game, maybe a heavy fine. He got 3 games. I don't understand what that Department of Player Safety does, Andrew. And please explain to me how you can't even bring in Wilson for a hearing because he has 6 previous suspensions.
Right. Well, that's the deal. That's the problem for me. You know, if you want to suspend Brian Rust 3 games, it seems draconian and heavy-handed. That's fine, but then you can't look the other way when repeat offenders and guys that have taken liberties in the past and turn a blind eye to that. I think George Peros, who runs the player safety department in a lot of ways, I think he relates to guys like Tom Wilson better. And I think these guys tacitly love the way that Wilson plays the game, and so they give him a benefit of the doubt. I'm with you. I saw that same hit, and I'm like, what the heck? Tell me why Brian Rust is basically sent away until the Olympic break, and yet Tom Wilson gets to play with no repercussions.
Yeah, it's interesting how that goes. Meanwhile, the Steelers are busy. Mike McCarthy having more jobs out today. It looks like it's going to be Scott Tolzien who will be his offensive coordinator. He was out of town interviewing. They brought in Danny Crossman to be their special teams coach and a bunch of other guys. But the one thing that stuck out to me, Andrew, is there's a chief of staff here. I've never heard that. Maybe that's been used on other teams, but around here, never heard a chief of staff. Obviously, somebody's going to take care of all the details and what they have to do. But it's indicating to me that Mike McCarthy's going to have a bigger staff than what Mike Tomlin had.
Omar Khan, Art Rooney, where's my phone call? I mean, if these are the candidates, the people that we're considering for the job, then maybe I was more qualified for it than I thought. But Mike McCarthy, I think now, I mean, look at the way this hiring cycle has gone. Chris Shula didn't get a job. Nate Scheelhaus didn't get a job. All these 10 jobs have been filled. And if you look at the offensive coaches that got hired, you've got Kubiak with the Raiders, LaFleur with Arizona, and then Kevin Stefanski with the Falcons. So I think only 4 of these jobs went to offensive guys, and I think that actually makes the Steelers' hire look better, Bob, because other than Kubiak, it's not like one of these hotshot guys ended up somewhere else. I'm still perplexed as to why the Steelers didn't even want to pick Kubiak's brain. I understand They maybe thought that he was going to go to the Raiders because of Tom Brady's infatuation with him in the #1 pick. But don't you at least want to bring him here? And if you've got to sell yourself rather than the other way around, I would have done that if I were the Steelers in this interview process.
That's how Mike Tomlin got his job, and quite frankly, they could have waited on Mike McCarthy. So they had opportunities to do that. They chose not to, but McCarthy's making things happen quickly over there on the south side. We're going to take a break, come back with your phone calls. It's 412-575-2600. Call us. We are on the air 10:35 until 11 every night of the week on KDKA Plus and most nights 93.7 The Fan. All right, as we come back to you, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and it's about a local kid who has changed his mind. 5-star running back Kemon Spell, who is committed to Georgia, 5'10", 210. You know him from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. He originally committed to Penn State, decommitted when James Franklin was terminated, and so now he's ended up in Georgia. But the thing about him, Andrew, he's only a junior, and last year he missed 5 games, and he still almost rushed for 2,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. The guy is pretty special. He's ranked right now probably the highest prospect to come out of Western Pennsylvania since Terrell Pryor.
Well, look, I don't know the Spell family at all, but I know the way college football and recruiting works now. This kid could change his mind 5 more times.
Yes, he can.
Between now and when, and I don't say that to. That's not at all in any way me criticizing the kid. It's just the way that it works now. As far as other teams want to step up and make higher offers. It's like free agency in other sports. Both the freshman selection process into college, but also the way the transfer portal works. So I can't think of many kids that have come from Western PA and gone down to Georgia, Bob. Off the top of my head, this would be one of the first ones I can think of. We've seen Alabama a few times. Joe Namath, the Foster kid, who was a pretty good player in the NFL as a special teamer and backup wide receiver. But Georgia's a new one for me. I can't think of many Pittsburgh kids that have picked Georgia.
Well, there could be a lot of money involved here as this thing works. Also, he is the highest rated running back recruit in Georgia history. And I'm talking about guys like Chubb and Gurley.
Herschel Walker.
All of them.
Herschel Walker, Bob.
Yeah, I mean,
Herschel Walker is one of the greatest college football players of all time.
But he was not rated as highly as this kid is rated heading into. He's only, like I said, going through his junior season, so he still has 1 more year to go. So I'm sure there are going to be some opportunities that come his way between now and whether or not he even gets to Georgia. But we'll see. Congrats to him. Things are moving well. All right, let's get to the lines here, Andrew. Got a lot of people want to talk here, and we begin with our #1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, Steve in Erie, Pennsylvania. Hello, Steve. What's going on?
Hey, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
I just really appreciate you taking my call. I'm a big fan. I actually was able to get through tonight, and I really appreciate you taking my call.
Okay, what's on your mind?
The Pens game tonight, it's like a big streak going right now. I just the way things are going this season, I'm really happy with the way things are going this season with the Penguins. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's very good team so far. They've gone through ups and downs. Tonight was one of those games. I thought Crosby was kind of out of sorts. I thought some of their elite guys did not play their best. But they also had earlier this year an 8-game losing streak, and they've had a 6-game winning streak. There are going to be some ups and downs. I just thought this was a bad one. The good news for them, Andrew, they have 2 games left. Tomorrow against the Islanders, Thursday against the Sabres. Those are 2 big games, one in division, one in conference, and they have a chance to go back and try to rectify things.
Yeah. The Islanders recently have had the Penguins' number as far as those playoff series post the Penguins winning their 2nd Stanley Cup in 2017, but they've got a whole new identity now. They don't have that great 4th line anymore. They've changed on the fly. Brock Nelson, who was a Penguins killer, plays for the Avalanche now. They've got the #1 pick kid who looks like he's going to be phenomenal in New York with that team. So that won't be an easy game on a back-to-back situation, but so was the Islanders. They played in Washington tonight. And then you've got the Sabres who, as far as feel-good stories go in the NHL this year, I think you've got the Sabres and Penguins who are duking it out for that because Buffalo was so bad in the first quarter of the season, Bob, they fired their GM, Kevin Adams.
Right.
And nobody blinked or batted an eye at that. They thought, okay, this makes sense. And really, since that day, they've been the best team in the NHL. And Lindy Ruff, what a great job he's done there in his second act as Sabres coach, and he's got them in position to make the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and they got some snipers on that team for sure, and the Penguins are going to see him on Thursday night. We have this on X. MJ Van City says, should Tom Wilson have had a hearing? For sure. Did Russ deserve every second of a 3-game? For his it wasn't an attack. That's the wrong word to use here, MJ.
Attack?
He said unrelated. Those two are unrelated. They are related because all we're looking for, and at least I am, is consistency. I'm not trying to be subjective and say, oh, Russ didn't deserve it. He deserves something, sure. But if he did, what is Tom Wilson? That's my point with that. Back to the lines we go. We have Scott in Lebanon. What's up, Scott? How are you?
Doing great, Pomp. Thanks for taking my call. You know, don't get me wrong, but I do agree with the Penguins' performance tonight not being their absolute best. But what was also a factor was the refs missing a bunch of penalty calls for the good guys, as well as that bad call regarding the last goal scored by the Senators, I think it was.
Why was that a bad call?
Well, I just don't think it went in the net. The net was dislodged and all that, but I think, in other words, it was also a poorly officiated game mostly because of those missed penalty calls. I'm sure you agree on that.
There were some, yeah. I was lopsided the totals. Ottawa had a lot of them tonight. The Penguins didn't do so much, and you're right, Andrew. Their penalty killing was good, kept them in the game. But I really don't have a problem with how that last goal went in by,
Me neither.
It crossed the line before that net went off its moorings. It's a goal, and they challenged for goaltender interference or obstruction or whatever, but, he was tripped into Shelov's. There was nothing Claude Giroux could do.
Look, I mean, all you got to do is think about it pretty logically here. If all it takes to get a goaltender interference penalty is for a player to make contact with the goalie, then why wouldn't defensemen just shove forwards into their goalie all the time and therefore negate the scoring chance? So to me, if you see a player that loses his balance because he's getting hacked and whacked, as it turned out, by, in that situation, it was Carlson who did it, and he loses his balance and flies into the net because of it, I don't see how you can call the forward for goaltender interference in that situation. And the NHL saw it the same way.
And it's the right call. The bad thing about that, the Penguins were too loosey-goosey all night and allowed that even to go into a breakaway kind of situation. You got a little lucky bounce on that, but still, they took advantage of it. Let's go out to Bruce in Youngwood joining us right now on the hotline. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, to answer your question about running backs going to Georgia, there was a running back out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. His name was Kevin McLeod. Graduated in 1975. I graduated with him. Also got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, Kevin McLeod.
Oh, wow.
But he was
That's
never,
a great call.
he was not as rated as highly as Spell, though, I would imagine,
No,
right?
not at all. He's saying local kid that went to Georgia. I didn't know that. That's a good call, though.
All right, let's go to Bud in Fox Chapel before we take a break. Hey, Bud, what's up?
Hey, Bob and Andrew, good evening.
Good evening.
It sure is fun these days watching the Penguins after a few really down years. It looks like this team is really competitive.
Long way to go, though, but I agree. They're much better than you thought they were going to be.
I mean, it's just terrific. It is so much fun to watch this team. They seem so balanced, and it's all unexpected. My question is Chenikov, Igor Chenikov, who, was just acquired a month or so ago.
Yeah, for Danton Heinen.
This guy's got an amazing wrist shot. Is it reminiscent of Phil Kessel?
Similar, I suppose. I mean, if you look at the metrics on it, he has the third highest or hardest shot this year in the NHL, which says something to me. He can really release it, and when you watch him on slow motion, Andrew, you see the whip of that stick. He can do that. I don't know what happened in Columbus that he wasn't playing as much or not as happy, but here, and I think it was smart for them to put him on with Evgeny Malkin. Those two have a chemistry.
Absolutely. I mean, that second line is now a force with Malkin playing the wing, too. That's where all their production came tonight.
All right, we're due for a break. We'll take it. Come back with more right here. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, real quick, Andrew, and get your take on arbitration season coming up in baseball. And I brought this up today to Joe because I thought it's an interesting topic, and it will translate into eventually what we see with Skeens. Tarek Skubal is up for another arbitration, and he's asking for $32 million. Detroit offered 19. Now, the arbitrator can only pick one of those two unless they compromise. The Pirates are going to have a similar situation as time moves on. Where do you think this heads, and does he get traded because Detroit may now want to deal with a longer-term contract?
Yeah, great question. This is, to me, the problem, the essence of what we're going to talk about with this labor battle in baseball, where a guy like that is probably not going to stay in a big market because they don't even feel like they can afford to pay him. But, Bob, it puts an emphasis on them doing things right now with Paul Skeens. Go get at least 1 or 2 more hitters, Pirates.
Yeah, you brought up Ozuna. I would do that for that price. I still can't believe that Suarez got 1 year, $15 million. And if they had to go higher, they should have gone higher. Just do it now while you have a chance in a 1-year deal. Better than multiple years. So made sense to me. All right,
Bob,
Tony.
great to talk with you. I'll get you some lobster mac for tomorrow night's show.
Thanks very much for saving some for me. I appreciate that. That's an inside thing, but I missed out on that apparently. So thanks. And I also missed my maraschino cherries. Someone took them the other day. They were there, and I didn't get any. But anyway.
Woo! Goodbye, Bob.
Good. See you, Andrew. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you again here tomorrow at 10:35. Every night, we're here talking sports with you. Thank you for being a participant. Have a good night.